Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. In today's video, I want to give you sort of my state of the game, my overview of how everything has been in Raid in 2024. I've recorded this video like twice already, but it's been too long, so I'm going to try to keep this shorter and snappier and just sort of blitz through and give you my overall points. I've talked about a lot of these points in detail in other videos, so there's not really a point in belaboring them too much. But yeah, obviously, by the way, community sentiment right now is at a massive low for the year. There's really no question about that. But for me, I'm trying to take the broader approach for the year as a whole. And I don't want to let the really negative stuff at the moment, distract from the good stuff that they did do. So yeah, that's what I want to do in this video. I want to be as fair as possible. I don't want to just rant about how everything sucks and the sky is falling down for whatever 10 minutes straight. I want to be as fair as possible. This I think is really interesting as well. In fact, I could make a bit of a prediction. I can do the state of the game for 2025. Well, I can do next year as well. Can you believe it? It's true though. It's true. This is the Google Trends for Raid over the last 5 years. The game is like now 5 years old, which actually presents a lot of challenges for sure. And yeah, also one thing that's really interesting, they're obviously, it's based out of Ukraine mostly, but Belarus, Ukraine, Russia, Latvia, even Denmark, surprisingly. But yeah, the most popular areas for Raid actually are all of the areas really centered around Ukraine, which is really interesting. One thing that's very intriguing, funny enough, actually this year, we had the low point was in the middle of June or the end of June, which is funny. But, November, bad point. We come back to the previous year, to last year. Remember, No Dime December. Again, November. Pretty bad point in the game. Funny enough, 2022 seems to be just shockingly positive the whole way throughout. I guess, again, the sort of the low point for 2022 was actually sort of in March, April, actually. But yeah, around, again, sort of August, November was also kind of bad. But going back to 2021, yeah, sort of November was the low point. Going back to, shocker, 2020, again, around sort of November-ish was the low point. So I can actually predict for next year that we're at a low point in November right now. I think we're going to see a bit of an upswing, though. The new clan boss that has been announced, that coming out soon. And I think that's going to be fresh and new and exciting, and there'll be promotions and stuff, and we'll see an upswing for maybe December and January, February. Then I think, it's probably going to fall off then after that, and we'll probably have a bit of a low spot probably around the sort of, February, March, maybe more so April, March to April. It'll probably pick back up a little bit then. Then I think we'll also see it again plummet to an all-time low in November before shooting back up. It's just interesting to see the trends. This is obviously, these are trends in terms of how we enjoy the game and the good times in the game and the bad times in the game that tie in directly to how Plarium develops the game, right? By the choices they make in terms of how they develop and when they push for things and so on. That impacts massively the player experience. But that's, like I said, let's go through some of these things. These are what I think were the good things, and I'll explain some of I think some of these are controversial. It's my opinion. I'll break it down. Champion buffs, I think, have been great, but I'd love to see more. But they've been great. More champ buffs, better. And I'd love to see epics and rares and stuff buffed as well. But the more buffs we see to champions, the better. They could double, triple, quadruple this. Yes. Even quintuple, sextuple. I don't know. I've run out. I don't know what more tuples are. Septuple? I don't know. Octuple. Nerfs to Sand Devil, Shogun, Iron Twins. I think those are really good, right? Those dungeons were way too limited. That improved the dungeons. It was simple, but nice. Not massive, but it's nice. Epic empowerment. Make shard pulls more fun. Helps like Curse City and stuff. That's been just like a nice win to yeah, build up your accounts more. It's great and helps lots of players. Your presets, brilliant. Profiles, avatar frames, badges, all this stuff. Simple, but actually really nice. It's not a massive game-changing thing, but it's a small positive change. Other minor quality of life, they made the champion selection page here and like the gear page smaller, for instance. I think that's kind of a nice minor thing. They did improve some things in the tavern, not the sparring pit, but in the tavern, they improved some things. They've done some other sort of minor quality of life, and I've probably forgotten a bunch of them sprinkled throughout the year. That's all been nice. Again, small, love to see more. Like the tavern, love to see more, but it's nice. Hydra personal rewards obviously is in a negative light right now because they made Hydra harder and they didn't make the personal rewards easier. But I think the concept of these personal rewards actually really good. They're actually very generous with the rewards. You get really, really good rewards from this. Like these accessories are really good, extremely good. and your progress carries over week to week. Brilliant. This is dependent on how well you do. You're not locked into the clan because, let's be honest, Hydra Clash matchmaking and balancing and whatnot is, it's just never, sorry to pick on that guy in particular, it's just an example. Hydra Clash matchmaking has not really been very good. The balance, not good. So having personal rewards that are just tied to how well you do with your teams and just the work that you put in will come through and actually give you substantial rewards. I think they've been a pretty big win, actually. And then I think these three are controversial, but I think the big events of Asgard Divide and Monster Hunter, I think the event dungeon from the Asgard Divide, and I think also the Mythical and Faction Unity Champions, I think all of this stuff overall has been good. Now, these are big things, they're complicated. So there's been, there's been good and bad, but I think that broadly speaking, these are, for me, very much a good thing. I think the big events have been very fun. I thought the event dungeon was a really neat addition. Like, with these events, there's not a ton of gameplay, really. It's just sort of a nice wrapper on what you're already doing, which sort of sums up events in Raid anyway. I think J Gigs can explain that much better than I can. But yeah, I thought the event dungeon was actually some new gameplay, and I thought that was actually done really, really well. One of the problems with the game, it's a 5-year-old game, and you can also spend between nothing and a lot of money on the game. How do you make content? This is something that I discussed a lot with Eherbad, actually. How do you make content that is challenging and engaging for everybody? Extremely hard. And guess what? That's really difficult this year, 5 years in. You know what? Next year, 6 years in, that's even harder. This is only going to get worse, right? It only gets tougher. It's not so difficult to make content for people when the game is 1 year old. Harder at 2 years, hard and 3 and 4 and 5 at 6 and so on. That's only hard. I actually thought the event dungeon did this really well, where newer players, it wasn't really that well designed for that. I mean, you could definitely do the lower floors, that was fine, but you wouldn't get too much out of it. There wasn't too much point, really. But for even mid-game players, if you could do stage 20, that was actually really efficient to farm, like for your energy and your time. It was good. Then you could go to like stage 24, 25. They're a lot harder. You go to stage 30. It's a lot harder. I actually thought that there was good challenge level for players, I don't know, maybe 6 months or maybe a year into the game, to players 5 years into the game. There was a good level of challenge for all those levels of players. They could all find an appropriate level to farm, and it was good. I strongly disagree. I definitely saw a lot of people saying the event dungeon sucked because I could not do stage 30. I could not disagree more. Like if you are a 1 year player and saying this sucks because I can't finish the dungeon, that's just not the way the game should be designed, frankly. That's like, if you make the dungeon, let's be real, compared to a 5-year player account, if you make the dungeon easy enough for a 1 year player to do it, what do players have been doing 2, 3, 4, 5 years do? They're just like steamroll at no effort. It's not good. So I actually thought they did a bang up job, and it's not easy to do that. So I think actually fair play. The event dungeon, in my opinion, was actually really solid. Yeah, like I said, Mythical's Faction Unity, I really enjoy these champion designs. Now, some of them are annoying. Some of them are like the Orc Mythical is like really underpowered. But again, I think these are really fun. Again, I think there is a false expectation sometimes that if I cannot get these champions, then they suck because I can't get them. That's just not a philosophy I can follow, honestly. It's just not me. What I enjoy is I only have the Ogren Faction Unity. I've got one, the Ogren guy, and he's not great right now. I mean, maybe he'll be good for this boss. Who knows? Like he's got some niche uses. He's not very useful for me, but I've got a couple of mythicals, and they're super useful. And the main thing for me, I find these champions are the most fun to play with. And this is a game about collecting and building and playing with champions. I actually think that mythicals and Faction Unity have really good gameplay. There's definitely an issue of power creep, but I think that these are really hype champions to get and really hype champions to play. Like I just got Carnage, for instance, who's the guaranteed one from Cursed City recently. He's really fun. Not the good stuff. Let's jump on over to we're still okay for time. The mixed stuff. Mixed. Dev communication. I thought the whole community events in Wixwell was very mixed. I'm actually spicy enough putting Hydra changes here, live arena changes here, blessings, and also the cost of events. So quickly going through them, dev communication, they've done a good job. And, you know, we'll touch on this. Like, they actually came out, and to be fair, they're kind of like, we want to apologize for the slow updates regarding the Hydra, you know? Like, they have actually put in some work. I think this is mixed, remember? There's good and bad. I think you have to call out the good as well as the bad. They definitely put in more work this year to communicating more with the players. Is it enough? No, we definitely want more. There's no question. I mean, you look at the comment section on literally any video in the last month. People want more communication, snappier. Yeah, they want more. They can do a lot more here. So I thought they improved this compared to 2023. Like, they've been doing like chatting directly with the content creators. Like, for instance, I mean, Epic Empowerment. That's a feature that came directly from talking directly to content creators and discussing what the community wants and are interested in. So dev communication, there have been some nice steps forward, but there's still a long way to go. The community weeks, this one's more personal. I guess, no, it actually affected a lot of content creators, I think. But, you know, I was in the Raid Community Award Show, which was really fun. They had the community voting for Wixwell for Fusion. These are really fun ideas. I was personally attacked for both of these, which makes it a very mixed thing, a very sort of toxic, very spoiled, very toxic sort of concept in my head. So I was personally attacked. That's a more personal thing for being in the award show. And then I was attacked for, shockingly, saying Wixwell was a good fusion. Can you believe it? The ultimate crime. Yeah, it was shocking, actually. It really weird. Yeah, probably the most negative interactions I've had with the community. I also had some, again, extremely mostly it was just an outpouring for the personal attacks. It's mostly an outpouring of support and encouragement. Yeah, so a ton of positivity. It was really weird. Again, some of the most positive interactions with the community mixed with some of the most negative. Weird. Hydra changes. So there's actually an update on this where they have now changed it so there'll be no more than 3 Serpent's Will buffs that can be active at the same time. I think there's, again, coming back to like I'm not a massive fan of community negativity in the sense that it can easily go too far. Like, when they put through this, like the Serpent's Will, like these initial Hydra changes, right? When they push through the initial set, like I saw so many people being like, I keep coming up with 4 heads with Serpent's Will. It happens all the time. And like content creator chat being flooded with screenshots of, oh, here's 4 heads with Serpent's Will. This happens all the time. Come on, Plarium. And Plarium came out and they're like, okay, guys, listen, at least we've changed something. We're working on more stuff. But we've changed this, and now only 3 Serpent's Will heads. So there will always be 1 head that you can do damage to. You'll never be stuck not being able to do damage to anything. We listened to your feedback. We've done it. We actually fixed this problem that you guys kept sharing screenshots of, like 4-head Serpent Will can't do anything. And what does the community say? Suddenly it's this does nothing. It doesn't affect anyone. What's even the point of this? And it's like, well, I mean, either everyone is constantly running into these 4 heads all the time with Serpent's Will, and it's the worst change ever, or nobody is. It's not affecting anyone. It can't be both, right? That, to me, is the negativity gone too far, where it's just completely changing, you know, your line of reasoning based on what that's a bit crazy. I think this is nice, but they need to do a lot more. But yeah, broadly speaking, I've talked about the Hydra changes a lot. The reason I put this in mixed is, number one, I actually think that's a nice change, having the head come back. 3 Serpent's Will max, that's a nice change. But even before that, I thought it was mixed. The main thing I like with the Hydra changes, I really dislike the limited HP on decapitated heads. I really like decapitated heads taking more damage from enemy max HP champs. That's great. I really like that if you kill a couple at a time, they'll come back and one of them won't have... if you kill a couple of decapitated heads, one won't have Serpent's Will. That's nice, very minor. The big thing I like was reducing the turn count. Now, that's unpopular. I think, regardless of anything else, it probably would have been a bit unpopular because your score goes down, right? You're going to get worse. If you can only have 1,000 turns instead of 1,500, your score's gone down by 1/3. The way I see it, though, this is my pretty strong opinion, actually, is... manual gameplay in a game like Raid, which is fundamentally at heart a mobile game, I just do not think an hour to an hour and a half, even 2 hours sometimes, of manual gameplay that cannot be really properly paused or put down. Like, you can't If you tab into something else on your phone, it might shut down the game. Your runs restarted, you know. I just don't think that's appropriate for a mobile game. In my opinion, 30 minutes is a pretty hard sell, and we're still way beyond that. So I thought that actually that's enough. Lowering the turn count of Hydra for me is enough of a positive change. I think it's great. And yeah, I think it's great. I think, you know, automating the Demon Lord battles is also great because instead of leaving my phone running for like 20 minutes, great, I'm done. The Hydra's even worse. It's like leave your phone running for 30 minutes, but I've got to be manually clicking stuff if I want the best score. It's too much. I think manual play, 30 minutes is a really hard sell, really more like 20 or 15 is even still a pretty decent chunk, to be honest. But yeah, anyway, that's sort of my take on that. I think the other changes obviously are more so negative. We talked about it before. Live Arena, that's another hot topic at the moment. I do think there is this quest, which is, where is it? Win one Live Arena battle. I really think this should be just fully participate in one. So, you know, stay through to the end, you know, fight the thing properly, stay through to the end screen, you know, not leaving the fight, you know, right at the start. Just participating, I think, should be fine. So I think, you know, 5 minutes, it takes about 5 minutes to participate in one Live Arena battle, about 5. That's fairly appropriate for an advanced quest. I'm okay with that. I would also like it if Live Arena was open all the time. I think that's a fair criticism that this isn't open all the time. It's improved, and that's really good. Again, that's another good thing. That improved. That's a Live Arena change. That's good. But it'd be better if it was open all the time. I think participating would be enough. Because, you know, winning, it might take you 5 minutes to win. It might take you, you know, 15. It might take you 30. And that's too long for an advanced quest. So participate would be nice. But for Live Arena, a few little tweaks. They updated the milestone rewards a little bit. They added in, you know, the daily wins for more hardcore players, which I think is really nice. I think they made it easier to climb up tiers and stuff. They did a few small tweaks to Live Arena throughout the year, which I think were good. But I think people feeling forced to do Live Arena is a bit too much at the moment. So this is more on the positive side. I say the Hydra changes are a bit more on the negative side for me. In fact, not a bit more. They're definitely on the more negative side, but they are mixed. The Live Arena stuff, for me, has been more on the positive side, but still has a couple of big negatives. Blessings rebalances. They added some new ones, and they rebalanced some old ones. Some of them are good. Some of them are bad. Simple enough. Like, you know, Nature's Wrath is great. Cracking Roots is a bit shit. That sort of thing. And then cost of events. So one thing they did, which is really interesting, is they made, which is good, they actually gave you back some choice in some of the fusions. So for a long time, they were going in a direction where you had to do every event for a fusion. Really bad, and they were making the fusions extremely expensive. This year, what they've done, and it's hit and miss, it's very mixed, but what they did was they said, okay, we're going to make some of the fusions cheaper to do, and you'll have a little bit of choice in the events. I think they need to go a lot further in that. And then what they've done to balance that out is they said, okay, now that the fusions are cheaper, now here are these Titan events and Heroes Paths and Decks of Fate and blah, blah, blah in between the fusions. And these are extremely expensive, but these will give you maybe a guaranteed champion, maybe the soul for the fusion, but it's really, really, really expensive. So I think that it's actually more expensive overall. In fact, we'll come to that in a negative, increasing monetization. I think it's more expensive. But at least some of the fusions have got better, so that's good. But yeah, some of these events are too expensive. And honestly, my main criticism of this is I just had a ton of fun. You saw my video. I had a ton of fun because I have extra void shards. And guess what? Is having extra void shards a negative gameplay experience? That's one of my most fun videos in the last while. It was I've got a bunch of extra void shards. I can pull on a 2x event, and it's really fun. Right? Especially with shard events and soul events, etc. Plarium seems to have a philosophy that you basically have to save all of your resources all the time just to complete the core events. Here's the thing. If the core events are cheap and I have extra shards left over, there is increasing monetization, guys. There is no shortage of summon events in the game that are optional to participate in. And it's really fun. So I honestly have no faith that this will change, but I would love if it did. Recognizing that, you know, extra excess resources being free to be spent on optional events is super, super fun. I guess they would say we see these things as optional events, but I think that they're more mainstream events. Honestly, I don't really see fusions and even the Titan events and stuff as super optional. They seem to be more just, this is the stuff to do while playing the game. And I think that the constant progressive events, etc., are more optional. That's my take anyway. And then for negative, a few things: power creep, increasing monetization. Big stuff here: a lack of polish on new content, slow pace, fixing broken content, and endgame players therefore floundering for content. All of this stuff links together. As Eherbad says very, very well, there's been radical power creep. He calls it power surge in the game. And this is a downside, like I said, of fun champs designs in Mythicals and Faction Unity, but crazy power surge and stat surge and gear sets and everything. All of this power creep, what he says, makes it very, very, very difficult. And also, again, we talked about earlier, the game being around for longer, again, makes it more difficult for the developers to create challenging and engaging content for this broad level of the power base, that they just sort of, it's just so difficult. Power creep. I think the Hydra changes are literally the perfect example of that. They're like, we're trying to do this complex solution, but because all the crazy power creep and everything, like I think everyone will nearly agree that nearly everyone would agree that they've not done it well. But they've created for themselves a very difficult job. It's not easy. And it's, again, this is on them. It's the hole that they've dug, or I guess just the nature of a gotcha game like this. It's a hole that it's digging for itself, but it is a huge problem. Now, this stuff, I put these three together, or these four together as well. I think it's very frustrating when there's just more and more monetization in the game, that the new content that's coming out is just not very good. Again, I don't know if I have super much hope on this, but I really would hope to see them saying, okay, to retain the player base, listen, the players are spending a ton of money on this game. In return, we want to make that game better for them. So we want to, I really hope that they will increase the budget. I hope that whatever the guys at Plarium that are controlling the purse strings will hop on some sense and go, guys, if we don't reinvest more into polishing and updating this old content, like if we have players waiting for years for these Hydra changes and then they're not good, that will drive players away, and that will lower the money we make. So we need to invest money right now to stop that from happening. I think that's really important. I think when I look at the new content, I look at Curse City, I say, okay, there's some fun things about this game mode, and there's some things that are really frustrating as well. That's how I see this mode. There's a lot more that could be done, but there's not been any changes to it. It's really been the same. Like, Amius is too hard on normal. Like on hard mode, this area is probably too easy, to be fair, and then this area up here is too difficult. Like, it's a pain in the butt. It just feels like the mode came out and was okay, and it hasn't been touched since. Siege is a perfect example of this. We talked about this in the video yesterday. I did on this, or I published yesterday on the last Siege. So they came in and they updated like the repairing for buildings and upgrading buildings. I'm like, yeah, that's nice, but it's bringing it towards what it should have been when it first came out. Like, Siege came out and the building economy, the Florin economy, just completely broken. Everything is too expensive, and everyone's sitting there with a destroyed fortress. It's just really bad. Then the matchmaking is a disaster in Siege. It's way too easily manipulated, and the problem is that the game tells you to manipulate it, right? It is crazy. The game encourages you to manipulate it because that's where all the benefits are. There is no benefit to good sportsmanship, as it were, as I would see it, of like trying your best and having good fights. It's just weird. Like for me personally, I don't know. I think there's a lot that they could change to make Siege a lot better. I think, again, this mode has so much potential and it's not been realized. And it's a worry with this new clan boss coming out now as well. Will this be the same thing? Will this come out? We have like a little bit of fun initially, and then we go, oh, there's huge flaws with this game mode. I guess we'll just wait like a year for some sort of change. And then with the Hydra changes, that's the big problem with the Hydra changes is, will we wait a year for some changes and then they come and make it worse? Like, will they come in with Curse City and be like, guys, we're updating Curse City. We made Amius harder. You'd be like, what? No. That's the concern. So that is sort of my state of the game at the moment. Let me know what you think about this. For me personally, I should say I'm really enjoying Live Arena. It's probably the thing I'm having most fun with at the moment. And Hydra is, honestly, although everyone hates it, it's still like 90 to 95% the same. I'm hopeful that they will improve it, and I am really looking forward to this new clan boss. I am really looking forward to any updates they do to Curse City and Siege. I am hopeful that they can do some of this stuff right, but I think that they do need some changes in game design philosophy and just in their budgeting and spending and stuff to address some of this stuff. I think players are crying out for more dev communication, for more balancing buffs, for more polish, for updates faster, for broken things not to be left broken for ages, and to have, prompts and good fixes, and to also, again, be more player focused, to be more focused on players' fun and engagement, because it often feels like that's not a priority. So that's sort of my take on it. But like I said, I don't know, I guess I ended up being negative because of how I structured this. We ended on a negative. But I think they did a lot of good things overall, and I want to see more of this, and I'm looking forward to more. I'm looking forward to the next event dungeon and the big events and some of these more nice little updates. So yeah, I think, like, honestly, the game, like I said, has been mostly pretty stable. And I think it's going to continue fairly similarly next year as well. We'll see. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.